Good evening and welcome to tonight's lesson. My name is Troy, and if you're joining us for the first time, thank you so much for giving me a chance to be your drum teacher. I hope you're enjoying the website and everything we have to offer. And just to let you know, I'm currently underway in reconstructing the whole website. So the aim for that is to make it, basically easier. So you can be a total beginner drummer. Come in, you just start lesson 1 and you can go straight through if you want. It'll hopefully give you a clearer map of how to work on stuff on the website. So, and it's, like I said, the aim here is to try and give you guys the best opportunity to grow as players. So yeah, hope you'll stick around. The live lessons, these are our live lessons we're on every week. We do a beginner, intermediate and advanced live lesson. This is our intermediate lesson and this is live lesson number 365, I'm fairly sure. And in this lesson we're going to be looking at linear grooves, which are super cool grooves. So I think the first time I was introduced to linear grooves was from a teacher of mine named Ryan Menezes, who is an amazing player, and he basically put me onto this book by a drummer named David Garibaldi. If you're not familiar with David Garibaldi, he is probably one of the funkiest drummers on the planet. Really well known for his groove stuff and his work with his band Tower of Power, who are a soul band, and you know, big horns, super tight bass and drum parts. It's super locked in band. It's incredible. If you haven't checked out Tower of Power, go on Spotify and check them out. You'll see what I mean. It's tunes like What Is Hip, Soul Vaccination, Soul with a capital S, Oakland Stroke. They're just incredible stuff. So anyway, I started doing some groove stuff out of Future Sounds by David Garibaldi. If you haven't got that book, I would highly recommend it. And one of the things that David talks about in that book is this 2 sound level concept. So basically, if it's a non-accent on the snare, you're going to play a very soft note. So I'll just go side cam so you can have a look at what I'm talking about. So soft notes will just be a very soft drop. An accent, you're going to either play as a full stroke or a rim shot. And on your hi-hat, if it's a non-accent, you're just going to drop the stick in time. All right, and so a drop, and you've got an accent, which is the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the hi-hat. So basically there, or there, or there. And that's almost it. I mean, you've got bass drum. The same goes pretty much on the bass drum. You've got an accented stroke or a non-accented stroke. But the main ones at the start are the hands, getting your head around that. So it's the 2 sound level concept. And I think that's what David actually calls it, the 2 sound level concept. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to apply that same principle to these grooves. So the first groove that we're looking at in this linear groove, and the other thing that linear means, just so you know, is linear means that the groove moves in a line and nothing overlaps. So these are not layered grooves. Layered grooves are where you've got separate parts falling all over each other. Linear means that you're going to play one voice at a time. Okay, so it's very stepping. So if you look at the first one, you can see you've got kick, hats, soft snare, soft hi-hat, accent on the snare, accent on the hi-hat, ghost note on the snare, 2 bass drums, accent on the hi-hat, soft note on the snare, non-accent on the hi-hat, and then followed by an accent on the fall. I know it looks kind of hard, and the hard part about these is getting used to what the dynamics are. But remember your 3 things that you need. Well, what I mean, if you're new, I've got 3 things that I make all my students do. First one is count out loud. Second is follow the music. And third is go slow enough that you know what's going on. If you're doing those 3 things, you cannot stuff it up, okay? The idea here is just to give yourself a chance to get the best result. Don't worry about the speed. The speed will come through practice and from playing with the metronome and slowly building up the speed. So we're going to start off fairly slow. Let's do this. Let's do this like, no, let's do it really slow. Let's do it about 30 just to get the idea of how it goes for the first one, okay? So here we go. 4. And the thing is with these, what you got to remember, so that was at 30 beats per minute. Once we start adding a little bit more speed, they're going to start to take on their sound and they're going to start to make a heck of a lot more sense. So that was at 30. Let's just speed it up by 20 beats per minute. So we're not going to double it. We'll, adding 20 beats per minute. Here we go. Let's do that again. 50 beats per minute. So the thing you're going to notice straight away as soon as we get to that tempo and you've built up. Now, make sure that you're not just jumping from 30 to 50. Go up in maybe 5 or 3 beat increments, whatever you're more comfortable with. Remember, at the slower tempos, like 5 beats, increase at 5 beats per minute is quite a lot. It's a 10% increase. If you increase by 5 beats per minute at 100 beats per minute, it's only a 5% increase. It's not that much. So as the tempos get higher, those 5 beat per minute increases are smaller and smaller. So when you're at the lower tempos, try and make sure that you're not bumping up the numbers too big. You run the risk of missing a certain point where you might not be totally comfortable. And so you end up in a spot where I can play it great here, I can play it great there, and then funny enough, in the middle there is like it all falls apart. And it could be because you're going from one technique to another without knowing it. And because you've glossed over that, one day you're going to get in a situation where you're going to play at that certain tempo and everything's going to fall to bits and you're going to be scratching your head going, I don't understand, I can play it really fast, why am I struggling to play it slow? So it's all about making sure you can control it past all those tempos. So just food for thought. Anyway, let's move on to the second one. Oh, and the other thing that you'll notice with these is it creates kind of like a pattern. You'll feel the pattern emerge. And the thing I love about this two sound level concept is that you get these clear kind of patterns and that the grooves become shapes. And to me, this really resonated with me, and I like to play shapes when I'm playing, and it makes it feel a little bit more musical. It's like almost like a dance move, if you will. And that's how I see it. You might have a totally different feeling, and that's cool. But that's what I kind of get into, this whole shape, building shapes, and associating sounds to those shapes. So, all right, let's play number 2 at 50 beats per minute. So this is pretty much the same, except on the art of 4, we've got a bass drum. So let's give it a go. So yeah, you'll notice sometimes there I missed the snare and did all that because I'm trying to keep the dynamics low. That's normal. You obviously don't want that. You want to try and make sure that you're making the connection to the drum and playing as soft as you can. And as all that stuff happens, don't stop and go, oh, I made a mistake. Just try and roll with it and try and fix it the next time. So moving to the third one, we're going to move on to number 5. Bass drum patterns changing in this one, so be aware of that. Here we go, 50 beats per minute. Cool, and lucky last, we've got a few hi-hat steps in there. So this one's a lot of fun. It's not as hard as it looks. So here we go, 50 beats. Yeah, so that's that one. Now, before I take questions, I'm just going to go through. I'm going to play them a little bit faster. So a little bit faster, I mean, that's a 50. I'm going to put them to 100. Okay. So here we go at 100 beats per minute. After this, I'll take questions. And I don't know why I didn't play the last 2 notes, but I didn't. So apologise for that. So yeah, that's basically it. So the idea with these is to just get comfortable with all the different patterns, make sure that the dynamics are correct before speeding them up. It's not the speed that makes these sound good, it's the dynamics. You're actually going to find, personally I find that when I play them too fast, they lose the groove. And that's very reminiscent of the Future Sounds books, in that one of the things that David does, he's got like almost like a tempo guide at the top and tells you these grooves sound the best between say 70 and 100 beats per minute. So you know when you're playing within that range, you're going to sound great. So yeah, let's see if there's any questions. No, there doesn't seem to be any questions after all that. No questions anyway. So as always, if you do have any questions, please hit me up in any of our other live lessons, or ultimately you can keep asking your questions in your video submission. So one of the new features coming to the website, the new website will be the ability to ask questions and have them answered, even if you're not going to be watching live. So you'll be able to do that from your student dashboard, and hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you guys. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to leave you. Have a fantastic week. I'll be back very shortly with our advanced lesson where we're going to be looking at layered grooves, which is a little bit, I find them a little bit trickier, which is why they're in the advanced thing, obviously. Anyway, as always, have a fantastic week and happy practicing.